life is real was that aim to be listened to and not just heard. Well, let's do this morning. Every time I do this, I feel like I'm like rubbing nipples. You always saying something first and you're wrong. You're loud and you're wrong.
My number one advice is if somebody's not going to be
Wait, what? What does that mean? So what do you do in those instances? You run.
Like, girl, you are that person.
Hello, darling. Okay, let's just jump right into this bad boy. Welcome, people. Thank you for tuning in. I'm your host, Tifani Sage, and welcome to another episode of It's All Necessary. This is a space that is a big reminder for us. What was I saying? Every time I do this, I feel like I'm like rubbing nipples. I'm definitely taking this part out, but
I like that.
All right. This is a space where we're reminded, whether big or small, every life experience that we go through, it's only to propel us and to prepare us for the next experience and event in our life. So, without further ado, please welcome my special guest today, Imani Cruz! I love it.
Hello.
Oh my God. So Imani started her,
amazing.
And I'm glad. See, this is going to be a good episode. Imani started her career in the mailroom at a talent agency. She worked her way up to MTV, where she was the manager of celebrity talent and development, and then went on to work in celebrity talent and influencer marketing at an agency called Star Power, where she counsels brands on marketing and celebrity talent procurement. Did I get that right?
Yes.
All right, let's get into this. Let me drink my water. 1 second.
I love this. I love the champagne glass that you have.
Thank you. So childhood, we're going to start there. What would you say is your fondest memory as a child, and why does it still resonate with you?
Oh, wow. That's a good question. I haven't thought about my childhood in a while. I would say when I was a little girl, my mom and I, it was just my mom and I, and every single night she would read me a book to sleep. And I remember that. Like, I remember she would come in my room and she would have, like, Dr. Seuss, like Green Eggs and Ham, or she would have some other random book, but, like, she would read it to me and she would speak in different voices. And it was just a sweet thing that I remember happening every single night. Because for a long time, I was an only child before my mom had additional kids. And so I remember, like, those years where it was just her and I. Those were like really, really nice years and like just a fun time because we spent so much quality time together.
And what do you feel, looking back at that now, what do you feel that did for you, for little Imani?
For little Imani, I think what it did is it just created such a strong bond between my mom and I. And like, it's just important, I think, for women to have that strong bond with their mom. Because there's just something unexplainable. You can't really put it into words about the relationship between a daughter and her mom. It's like so special. It's so magical. And so the fact that that was nourished at such a young age, it just feels really.
I love that. How would you say your mom or your dad would describe you as a child?
Oh, wow. I was always making jokes. I was like a class clown, like always trying.
That's why you're so funny now.
Yeah, like always making jokes and like a little wild. Like I think I was just like a little wild.
This is why we're friends. I love it. And also, what would you say captivated your attention? Say like when you were in middle school, high school, what did you feel yourself being drawn to? Whether hobbies or like career?
when I was younger, I loved the arts. Like I was in acting classes. I was in dance class, and I loved that. I loved dancing. I loved acting, like the drama, theater. I
Mm-hmm.
love that kind of stuff.
Big,
And
loud,
yeah,
fierce.
big. I just love that kind of stuff because it was just drama. Like I loved
Ooh,
movies that made me feel something, like feel this emotion. I would feel so energized after watching a
yeah,
movie, and I would cry. Like I just loved to feel that. It just felt so like amazing and just
yeah.
passionate. So yeah, I
I
was really
can't
drawn to that stuff.
imagine. I can't imagine, like, as you said, like, wow. So I'm getting a visual where, well, I want to make sure I can paint it right. But it's like you being into these emotions, feeling them, and it's like, oh, I feel alive when I'm feeling all this stuff versus a child where it's like, I don't want to be happy or I don't want to be upset. It's just like, get a life. Get some life in you and feel all that. I love that. Last
Exactly,
question.
exactly.
Last question in childhood. Who would you say were your role models? And what was it about them that made you say, I want to apply whatever that person does or has about them that you want to kind of adopt that into your life?
Oh, that's a good question. When I was a child, I remember looking up to my aunt, my dad's sister, because she, whenever I would visit her house, she always seemed like she had everything together. Like her bathroom was so organized, her living room was so warm and cozy. And whenever I came over, she had all these games and she was successful and she lived by herself. And I was like, oh wow, like there's this woman and she's just happy and content by herself, doing her own thing. She's found success and she just seems like she's enjoying her life. Like she'd be doing yoga, she'd be belly dancing, all these different things, going canoeing, going camping.
Wow.
But she just seemed like she was just always just enjoying life. And she didn't have
Hmm.
kids. She wasn't married, but her life just seemed really enjoyable. And I just looked
Wow.
up to that.
Are you still close with her now?
Yeah, we're so close now. She's moved. So she used to live in Harlem and now she lives in Mount Vernon. So we
Oh,
don't
okay.
see each other as much, but yeah, we're so close.
Yeah. So wait, so did she kind of treat you like her own daughter?
Oh yeah, for sure.
I
Like
love
she
that.
helped move me into college. She got almost all my supplies for me. If I ever needed something, she would always buy it for me. If I ever
Yeah.
if I just wanted money to go to the mall, she would give it to me. Like she's just been so supportive my entire life
I
because she
love
never
that.
had kids of her own. So she really treated her nephews and nieces like they were her kids.
Yeah. When she gave you the money to go to the mall or wherever, did she ever like say first would she ask like why do you need this money? Or when she did give it to you, did she say like,
No.
be careful of how you spend it? She was just like, here you go.
Sometimes she would say be careful how you spend it, but literally every time I would leave her, she would just pass me money. Like if I just spent time the day with her and she dropped me home, okay, bye money, and she would just hand me some money. And I was like, oh, like I would just be so grateful because I could just use it for food or go shopping, like whatever it was. But
Yeah.
she's just very generous like that.
I love that. And I
Yeah.
feel just like I forgot who was I listening to the other day. Ken Honda. So he has a book called Happy Money, and just he was just basically
Mm.
saying like there's energy in money when you give it out or when you receive and all that. So shout out to Auntie because she got the vibes.
Yeah. And you always get that back too. You always get that energy back.
That part. 1 second. So we know getting into the entertainment industry is not the easiest, I feel, from my experiences and what I've heard. So walk us through how did you get your start into the first entertainment company that you worked with?
Oof, okay.
It's like,
20
let me go
years
down
ago.
the timeline. Yeah.
Let's go down memory lane. um, So when I always knew that I wanted to work in entertainment in some way, shape, or form. So when I
Mm-hmm.
graduated college, I started doing all this research. I was doing all this reading. I knew I wanted to work in this field. I just didn't know how to get in because I didn't really
Yeah.
have that many internships. I had done a few here and there. And I started reading all these books, and all the books kept saying, you need to start your career at a talent agency. And I was
Mm.
like, why? It didn't make any sense to me, but a lot of it was saying how the talent agents have their eyes on everything because they see scripts before it comes out. You're able to kind of access a lot of industry intel before
Mm-hmm.
anybody else. So talent agents know a lot. It's like a wealth of information at these agencies. And so they said, well, you know what? You should start off at an agency and just from there you can figure things out because you can go in any direction from there. But you have to start off in the mailroom. Like it doesn't matter if you
Mm.
are the daughter of a CEO. No one can escape the mailroom. It's just like a rite of passage that everyone has
Oh,
to do.
okay.
And it's a literal mailroom.
Oh.
So, like, I was in an actual mailroom that had mail in it, and your job as a mailroom assistant is to receive the mail because agents receive a lot of mail because they're receiving checks, they're receiving contracts, they're receiving scripts, and they're receiving fan mail for all their clients. So you have to receive the mail and then you have to organize it by which agent it's for. And then you have to walk around the mailroom with a mail cart and disperse the mail to each agent. It was the most humbling experience of my life because after spending 4 years in college and I'm thinking, okay, I'm gonna graduate, I'm gonna have this fabulous job making all this money working with celebrities. It was the exact opposite. It wasn't fabulous, I wasn't working with any celebrities, and I wasn't making any money. So I was just like, okay, this sucks. But I kept with it, and after about, I would say, 4 months, I got promoted out of the mailroom to become an assistant or an agent trainee, which is basically you're just in this program that's training you to be a talent agent. And so when I was an
Question.
assistant, yeah,
When you were not like you were making money, but I guess with all the other living expenses, how did you make ends meet then before the promotion?
oof. I think with the help of my family, so I was able to live. My grandmother had just moved out of her apartment and she moved back to the Dominican Republic where my family's from. So I was able to live in her apartment. So that helped me with the rent. And then in terms of any money that I had left over was just going towards like food. I mean, I was living like really bare bones. I didn't have a credit card. I just had my little money that I was making, and that was it. Like I didn't go shopping, I didn't get my hair done. It was like true bare bones,
I don't know
and that was my
why,
life for about yeah.
but there's a part of that story that I like where it's like obviously living like that. I think too, when you've had experiences not having to live like that, it's like, uh, what is this? But there's just something about there's just something about kind of like it's like very black and white. Go to work, do your job, do the best you
Yeah,
can, and then the money that you get, be financially responsible. Don't try to do the most. And I feel like it sounds like a glorified like just focus. But I find that when you're living it, you're actually living it, it's stressing and it's difficult.
yes, exactly. People always see the end result, and they don't see like the dark times or the humbling experiences that you've had. Like they only see you years later when you're kind
Yeah.
of reaping the rewards of all that sacrifice that you made.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
that's why I always tell like my younger siblings, my mentees, do not compare yourself to anybody. And I know this
Mm.
is such a
Mm.
tired saying, but it's true because you have no idea what that person had to go through to get
Wow.
what
Yeah.
they have. So you really should just run your own race and keep your blinders on, because it doesn't matter.
It's
You're
true.
doing
And I
your own
think
thing.
too,
Focus on
I
you.
think, right, the blinders thing, to me, how I equate that is keeping your blinders on could mean don't go on social media. Keep your blinders on and just the life in front of
Oh
you.
yeah.
Because the moment you go on there and you accidentally see something that could be triggering, and not from a space of jealousy, I mean, there's that too. But I feel sometimes what it could be is you see someone doing something that may be similar to what you're doing, and it's like, what the heck, how did that happen, for such, for so and so, and it didn't happen for me or whatever. And it's like, just focus on thyself. Just focus on myself.
Yes, exactly.
What was I
That's
going to say?
such
So what
an
would you
important note.
say?
Just focus on
Hmm.
yourself.
Yeah, what would you say was a career springboard moment for you, where it's like once you got this job or this role that it's like, oh my god, like life is good.
Oh, definitely MTV. Having MTV on my resume, it just opened up so many doors, because it's a name that everybody recognizes instantly. Even if you haven't watched MTV in the past 10 years, you
Yeah,
still know what MTV represents. And
yeah,
so
and the
the name
legacy.
has so much value, and the
Yeah,
legacy. Yeah. So when I would go into rooms and I would say, "Oh, I work at MTV," it would open up doors, and it would allow for opportunities to just rush in. And
mm-hmm.
so I was there for the longest part of my career, 5 years. And during that time, I was networking. I made so many relationships with
Mm,
everybody: agents, managers, publicists, other executives. I mean, I can't even put into words how valuable MTV was for me. Like
yeah.
that changed my life, being there.
when you were meeting these people, I feel like most of it or half of it was because of what the job at hand was. But was it ever a tactic where you were like intentionally like, oh, I need to go meet this person because I want to know this person, I want this person to know me, and I want us to build? Or was it just all organic?
There was a combination of both. I would say majority of it was organic. Like I would just meet amazing people like yourself. I would just meet some people randomly. I'm like, oh wow, that's so
Mm-hmm.
cool. You did what you did. But and then there were some instances where I was like, oh, I really want to meet this person. Like I've heard about them and I know how big
Yeah.
of a deal they are, and I think they would have a lot of knowledge to share with me. So I
Mm-hmm.
think, sometimes, you know, I would do that. But even my boss that I worked for, I mean, she was like a legend in her own right, where she had been
Mm,
working in the industry for so long. So to be able to work under someone like that, even her name opened up doors. Like when I was interviewing to find new jobs, I would say, "Oh yeah, I worked under this person," and they would
yeah.
say, "Oh, I know that person." So, and just being able to say that, "Oh, like wow, you worked under her for 5 years."
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they
Mm-hmm.
trust that. Oh, okay,
Yeah.
she knows what she's doing. She can
Right.
handle this.
Yeah.
So,
Was there any time in your entertainment journey that you felt like, to hell with this, I'm quitting? And if it was, what
oh
was
yeah,
that plan B? What was that plan B for you?
wow, I have felt that at least once per year. Like I have felt that
Mm,
all since I first started working. I have felt
mm-hmm.
that consistently. I'm like, oh my god, and it's just these moments when the job can just get so stressful and so overwhelming. And I'm thinking, what am I doing this for? Like, I could just go be
Mm,
a librarian somewhere and be so much happier. But the
yeah.
truth is, I wouldn't be happier. Like, the reason why I'm doing this is because, like, I really care about the work that I'm doing. And it's not, when I first started, I thought it would be cool because, oh, I can just work around celebrities. But then I started meeting people who I would, like, discover and put on air. And they would say to me, oh, Imani, like, by you putting me in this show or giving me this opportunity, you changed my life. And I'm like, oh,
Wow.
like I didn't even think about that. Like the work that I'm
Wow.
doing is actually impacting people. Like there are people who have literally told me, you've changed my life. Like
Oh my gosh.
because you cast me in this show, now I have the ability to now do other shows, and now
Wow.
my career can go in this direction. And that just that just made me think, okay, you have a lot more power than you think you have.
In
And it was
purpose, yeah.
empowering, like, okay, I'm not just working for myself. Yeah, I'm working
Yeah.
in purpose, on purpose. That
Mm.
that makes you feel so good. And when you start working in your purpose like that, it changes everything. You're not
Oh my
working just to
gosh.
get rich or just to, be on some flashy magazine. Now it's like, oh,
Hmm.
wait a minute, I have a much greater purpose than myself. And
Yeah.
like, there's nothing more fulfilling than that. Like, that just, it feels so good.
When you mentioned earlier that it can get stressful and it made you want to like consider stepping back, what were, and you don't have to go into detail or, the names and stuff, but what does a stressful day or a week or a stressful month look like?
Um, so I guess I go back to like when I was an assistant, because those are my
Hmm.
most stressful days, because I was responsible for someone else. So when
Hmm.
you're working under an executive, you're responsible for everything, their calendar, their meetings, every single thing you're responsible for. And that was very stressful for me because some things are out of my control. Like
Yeah.
if somebody showed up late to a meeting, that's not my fault. Or if I
Hmm.
create your agenda and one point is wrong, but you showed it to your boss and now you're in trouble, I'm like, oh my gosh, like there would be such, I would make sometimes these little mistakes and I would just kill myself over it. Like,
Hmm.
oh my God, my career is over, I'm done. And I think that's when I
Yeah.
would be the most stressful, when I would make those small mistakes. Because I can be kind of like a perfectionist, and I'm just like, oh, I just want to do a good job. But
Yeah.
sometimes, I'm tired,
And
or
you
I'm,
care about the
we're human,
work.
you make mistakes,
Hmm.
and I care.
Yeah.
And I think those were the hardest moments for me when I would make those mistakes. I would be just sad for a long time.
Yeah.
It's like, girl,
and
get over it.
now And now, how does your present day stress look like? Where it's just maybe like a lot of clients or a lot of, I don't know, you need to be here or and that person's over
Yeah.
there or whatever.
So now it's a little different. I'm not as stressed as I was when I was an assistant because I'm in control of a lot of my own work, and the mistakes that I'm making, I mean, well, also the stakes are higher because I'm not making a mistake on an agenda, but like if I'm negotiating a contract and I mess up when speaking to a lawyer, that's gonna stress me out because
Oh,
now it's like, okay, this is a big deal. Like you messed up something
yeah.
really, really big. It's like the mistakes that I make now are a lot more impactful than the mistakes I made as an assistant. So
Wow.
I'm
That's good
actually
insight.
even more careful now than I was but being an assistant helps prepare me for my job now because
Yeah.
I learned I really want to make sure my executive, my boss, always has everything she needs to succeed. And so I'm just bringing that onto myself now. I need
Yeah.
to be organized. I need to have everything in a place so that I can see it clearly. I need to stay on top of my inbox, still maintaining those relationships. So, yeah, I haven't really had too many stressful days recently. I'm trying not to
Good.
because
Yeah.
the impact is a lot greater. Yeah.
Right.
Like, I'll just
With
get fired.
with the what was it that you said? And I want to get my question out before I forget it. With the stakes being higher now, do you feel that, I'm just saying, for example, when you were an assistant, you would be fast to respond just because you want to show like, hey, I'm working, I'm good, here's a response. But now are you like, okay, slower to respond because you want to make sure that things are in check before you respond or
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, if I get looped into an email, I don't care how long it takes me. I will scroll all the way to the bottom and read that very first email and slowly work my way up to the current email so that I can digest every single point and fully understand what it is that you want me to respond to. Like, why was I looped into this email? And I got to figure that out. And I take that really seriously because it's better to take your time and have a thoughtful response as opposed to rushing just to show that, look, I'm on my email at 9 p.m. It just doesn't matter. Like, because now you've said the wrong thing and it doesn't matter. So you have to go back anyway and clean up whatever mess you made. So I just think it's always better to just take your time, fully digest all the information, and be thoughtful. Even when I'm in a meeting, I don't care about being the first person to say something or just having my voice heard just for the sake of being heard. If I'm going to say something, I'm going to speak slowly, and I'm going to make sure that it's significant and that it's adding to the conversation, not just going to speak just to have my voice heard.
Yeah, there's a saying that I heard recently, aim to be listened to and not just heard. And I'm like, that is so potent, because I know some people who just always want to be the first to, bark off. And at first it's like, oh wow, this person, like, they know it. But then it's like, nigga, you always saying something first and you're wrong. You're loud and you're wrong. So so with the
we know a lot of people like that.
Yes. With work being at a higher stakes now, how do you find the balance between work and personal life?
It's much harder now. I kind of miss the assistant days where you would get right at around 5:30, you're out drinking margaritas, having a good time, going out for drinks. Now it's a little bit different. Like, the work just, it's so much more. It takes a lot longer to get through my day. But when I'm done with my day, I feel this sense of accomplishment. I'm like, I did a lot today. I got a lot done. Today was so productive. So I may not be able to go out for margaritas every single night, but I spend time on the weekends. I do not work on the weekends. I just refuse. I will work late nights if I need to, but my weekends are for me. I get 2 days.
I love that.
It's just my me time. I'm going to do a face mask. I'm going to take a nice, long, hot shower. I'm going to watch my favorite television shows, read some magazines. Like, I really take my self-care seriously, because if I don't pour into myself, then I'm empty on Monday.
Yeah.
And I want to make sure that I'm giving my full self.
And you look like you take care of yourself.
I try.
What has been, work-wise, what has been a blessing in disguise, where at first it was like, God, what is this? What is this right here? But then as you were in the situation and, like, it eventually ended, you were like, oh wow, I actually needed this experience because it taught me something, or it put me in contact with someone.
Oh, I mean, there's so many. I think the biggest piece for me has been working under some supervisors and bosses who, at first, I was just so uncomfortable, and I'm thinking to myself, why do I have to work for someone like this? This person is crazy. They want everything done in a particular way. I can never please them. I can't make them happy. But working under personalities like that, it actually improved the way that I work, and it improved how seriously I take my own work. And so, not saying I have to be just like them, because I want to be just like me. But I did take some positive pieces from the experience, and brought that into my career now. And so I'm really able to come into a space and really be fearless and not feel like scared of anybody. Like, there's no one that can scare me. Yeah. Because of the experiences that I've had. Like, there's just no one that can scare me, because I've worked under some people. People have said, you worked under them, that person's so scary. And I'm like, well, not to me. And so what that does, it gives me thicker skin. And the thicker skin you have, the further you can go, because people don't really get nicer as you elevate in your career. Often, sometimes they can get a little meaner, or they can be a little hard to work for. And for me, it doesn't faze me. So I think that's something that I took with me, and I'm so grateful. I'm like, thank you.
Yeah.
Just like boot camp. Like,
now exactly. When you said about like the many execs that you've worked with and how like, you know, they're like little chihuahuas to you because it's like, well, sorry, because of them, other people are chihuahuas to you because you've seen the scary and stuff like that. I feel that
Yeah.
everybody needs that in some shape, way, or form. And I feel for me personally, no shade, but my dad was that person for me. Because
Oh,
it's like
wow. That's so
having grown
interesting.
up, yeah, having grown up, I'm the oldest child and the only girl. And aside from
Mm,
fighting for myself, as far as like standing up for myself, you know, speaking on the behalf of my brothers and, you know, sometimes feeling misunderstood, it's like to stand up from a little, as a young child, standing up to a man. On top of that, he's a Jamaican man. On top of that, he's old school. On top of that, he's your parent. It's like all these
yeah.
things. And it's like, you're like Goliath to me. And sometimes, even to present day, it's kind of like, I don't have that, oh, I'm afraid, but I do have that, like a little tenseness inside of me because it's like I already know what
Mm,
this thing is going to be like. And you know, I guess
mm,
it's a great thing when I'm dealing with other people in corporate or just, you know, in the industry period. But it is a little unfortunate, I think, just for the sake of the father-daughter relationship, because then I realize too, I'm being so vulnerable on this thing that I feel I've never been 100% vulnerable with a man because of that. It's like I felt like I always
mm,
had to keep my guard up. And I feel like my wittiness, like my fast clapbacks or whatever they call it, comes because it was honed and groomed by having to respond to my dad. And he does not like half
right.
baked plans or indecision. And there was always this like some, what's it called? Popular phrases he would say is like, you know, I'm being a rebel, I'm rebelling against him, or you're too young, you know, no as yet. And
Mm,
it's just like to the average person, that can make them have like no confidence and think that they're dumb or, you know, they're just not on par. But I took that as
right.
no, you're just stuck in your ways. Can be grouchy, you know, and all this stuff. So I do want to like remind everyone, whoever their Goliath is in their life, it's like it it can be stressful, it can be hurtful depending on what they say and stuff like that, but it definitely try to use it to hone your skills, and so, you know, you know how to deal with people afterwards.
Yes.
Intermission to cry.
You said that perfectly.
Thank you. Oh Lord. Okay, so let's jump
You said
into
that
top
perfectly. That was
two.
so well said.
Thank you. Let's jump into top two. I want to know, what are the top two films or albums that either, I don't know, just like resonated with you, where, I don't know if there was like a love scene in a movie or there was like this boss bitch. And it's like, ooh, I want to be like that.
Oh wow. It's funny because I watch so many movies, and of course when I need to think of a top two, it's hard. One of my favorite movies of all time is Love Jones. I love that movie. I could
Ah,
watch it every
tell
single
me
year.
why. Tell me why.
Yes. It's just a beautiful love story, and I'm a true romantic. I just love being in love. I mean, it's just such a beautiful feeling. And when I watch that, I like it because it's so human. It's not
Mm,
just a corny love story where they fall in love and they get married, have kids, everything works out. Like they
mm.
go through a real relationship situation, and their love is tested, and just when you think it's over, they're like, nope, and
Boom.
they figure it out. And
Homeboys
I
running
love
back to
those
the train
stories.
station. Yeah.
I love those stories because that's how life is. Like life is not a cute little wrapped up gift in a bow. Like life can get messy. You can be
Yeah.
embarrassed. You can feel humiliated. You can get your heart broken. But at the end of the day, it's all going to work out for you. And I think that movie is a testament to that.
Mm.
Another movie that I love Christmas movies. I love Home
Really?
Alone.
Okay,
Something
the
about
classic.
Home Alone, it just like those
Cute.
classic
Right?
movies set in New York. I love films like that where it's
Wow.
Christmas and it just makes me feel cozy and it reminds me of growing up with my family and being on the couch and just watching movies together.
Yeah.
So,
Imani, I want to thank you so
yeah. What
much.
about
I'm
you?
going to get back to the
What are your
questions.
top two?
Oh, well, that's a good question. Um, Wait, before I do that, I want to thank you again because we're filming this on a Sunday, but I want to thank you so much for taking time, out of your schedule. I'm freaking interrupting your me time, but thank you so much that, like you showed up on time and just, I already knew the vibes were going to be good, but it's like my sister, my sister. So, top
Oh, anything you
two.
ever need from me, you know I got you.
Thanks, Iman. Top two films off the top of my head. No one has ever really asked me that, so I'm just like, oh shit. No, okay, so let me think. So maybe Love and Basketball, just because I grew up, being a basketball athlete, and it just made me feel good to see someone like me just be ballsy and just proud, like, oh, I'm a baller and whatever. So I would say Love and Basketball. And then, let me see. If there was, I'll say, so that was my favorite film. Maybe if I had to say a favorite book, The Alchemist. The Alchemist,
Ooh, that's a good
because
book.
it really just reminded me that, the universe and just the workings of life, it's working in my best interest. And I'll never forget when I finished reading the book, I read it twice because the first time I read it, I was just like, even the first page when it was like the boy and the sheep and whatever, I'm just like, what is this? I wasn't expecting it to be in third person. But when I read it again the second time, I remember going outside, and in the book it said something about like when the wind is blowing and whatever. When I went outside and the wind was blowing, I was like, oh my gosh, yeah, it's working for me. It's working for me. It just kind of felt big, and it just felt like whatever my desires were, it was riding on the wind, and it's gonna come. It's gonna happen. So that's what I would say.
Yes, I love that. I'm so big into manifestation. And so I love whenever somebody talks about that because it just gets me so excited because it's
Yeah.
really worked in my own life. I
Mm.
mean, every single thing that I have right now is because my mind created it and I had a desire for it and I manifested it and I visualized it and it materialized.
There is, your nails look good, by the way. There was something,
Thank you.
I feel like there's like many things that you said a while ago. There's many things you said a while ago that I want to touch on. But one, what is one thing that you feel you couldn't have manifested?
Whew, I would say my current job.
Mm.
I got laid off from MTV, and I had a new job a little over a month. And there are people who are still unemployed, who are
From
still
that
looking for a
time?
job. Yes.
Dang
I
it.
told myself the moment I hung up from that Zoom call where they laid me off, I
Mm-hmm.
told myself I'm going to find a new job and I want it to be this salary.
Yeah.
I found a new job. They reached out to me
Oh my
and
gosh.
they offered me a salary way above the number that I wanted.
Wait, sorry, say again. The
And I was
connection went out.
shocked.
Wait, say it again.
Oh, I was saying I manifested a new job
Mm-hmm.
in a little over a month after I got laid off and making more than what I even wanted for my new job.
Girl.
So I was able to really manifest that, and I'm just so grateful.
Did you cry? Like, how did you, when it happened, were you like, oh shit, life is real?
I was still in shock. I thought I was gonna be at MTV my entire. I thought I was gonna be there forever.
Wow.
I was like,
Hmm.
okay, I guess I'll just stay here for 20 years. I never knew. I always knew I needed to go somewhere else and get a new job, but I just didn't know if I was actually going to. I was like, I don't know, I might.
Yeah.
I don't know. I didn't have any sense of urgency under me, but the layoff actually helped propel me.
Mm.
Because I just didn't, for whatever reason, I didn't leap on my own.
Yeah.
So
Mm.
it was great.
God.
It was awesome. And I looked at myself like, wow, this is real. Like whatever you desire, you can have.
Yeah.
It's out there. There's nothing stopping you from what you want. There's
It's true.
nothing.
I think sometimes people may be caged in like a caged bird because of just maybe their track record where it's like, well, I never got that and I tried to get it, but I never got it. So I guess it's not in the cards for me. Or some people just being afraid also too with who has kind of sowed bad seeds into them saying, speaking like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
you're not good enough or da 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 da. And then them just kind of succumbing to that low frequency, mindset. Wow.
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
would you say are like the last two conversations that you had, either business or personal? What are the last two conversations that you've had that resonated with you?
Oh, that's a good question. Well, I just spoke to one of my girlfriends on the phone,
Mm-hmm.
and we were talking about our younger siblings. And I was saying that I really want my younger siblings to know how special and powerful they are
Mm.
and how important it is to pour into the young people around you. And
Yeah.
I think it's important, like when you have the responsibility, and I call it a responsibility because it is, of being the oldest, and I'm the oldest, and my friend is the oldest, and like you're the oldest, that's a big responsibility, and you should take it seriously because
Mm.
they're looking at what you do
Yeah.
and they're looking to you for what they're going to do with their life. And so
True.
any mistakes that you make are going to be magnified because they're going to be like, okay, well, if she
Wow.
couldn't do it, maybe I can't do it. So you following your dreams, you tackling life head on is inspiring your younger siblings. Like they're
Yeah.
looking to you as a guide of what they should do next. And so I
Yeah.
take that really seriously. I have 5 younger siblings.
Wow.
And if they ever need me, I'm there. If they ever call me, I'm going to answer. Like, I look at them like they're my children almost.
Mm-hmm. Have
Like,
they
I
ever
just
said
take
to
it
you?
so, so seriously.
Have they ever said to you like, Imani, I really like? Do they vocalize their admiration for you, or you just know they're looking up to you?
Sometimes,
Okay.
sometimes they do. I'm sure sometimes they're just like, okay, shut up. Like, I'm sure it's an interesting dynamic because you're not their parent, but you're also
Hmm.
older than them. So they are
Yeah.
kind of listening to you. They do kind of respect you, but they're also kind of like, I don't have to do what you tell me to do. So,
Hmm. Hmm.
it is weird in that way, but I don't know. I try my best.
Yeah. And then what is a second one, business related, that you were like, oh, I need to remember this?
Well, I made a small little mistake last week at work, and my boss was like, Imani, it's fine. Don't overthink it. It's not that serious. And her saying that to me was so helpful because I'm an overthinker. I overthink everything. And by her letting me know it was okay, it helped me to move on. Because if she didn't say that to me, I would have been stuck on that mistake for the entire day and not been productive, not gotten any work done. Her saying it's okay, move on, it allowed me the ability to move on with my day and like get other work done, do other things, make more mistakes maybe, I don't know, but it freed me. It like took off the shackles. It was like, girl, just move on. You made the mistake, it's over. You can't go back in time. You gotta just keep it moving, keep it moving, keep moving. So yeah, that was super helpful to me.
Love that. Has overthinking ever helped you?
That's a great question. I'm sure it has. Like, I'm sure,
Mm-hmm.
like, I mean, in situations where maybe my safety was at risk,
Mm-hmm.
like, I've had people come up to me before and be like, "Oh, do you want to get a ride here? I can take
Mm-hmm.
you here." And I've been like, "What if you're a murderer?" Like, I'm sure that probably
Ooh.
helped me because there are people who actually can hurt you. And
Yeah.
so, me overthinking, I think, has helped me in those situations where I'm just like,
Got
"No,
it.
I'm not gonna do that. I
Yeah.
don't want to
And
get
would you,
kidnapped and get killed." So,
right? We don't want that. So with the overthinking, do you think that at any time you adopted that when you were younger, where it was like this incident happened, and it's like from then on, I'm always gonna kind of like try to think, two steps ahead or something like that, because I don't want to revisit this kind of situation again.
hmm. Yes, I think that's just a natural byproduct of being the oldest
Okay.
sibling. It's just, you're kind of held to a different standard. So, like, I would get in trouble a lot. Like, if like, I would do little things here and there as a child and I would get in trouble. And I think that led to me kind of overthinking because I don't want to, I mean, I'm not a child anymore, but I don't want to, get in trouble in life. Like, I'm
Yeah.
not going to make certain decisions because I don't want to suffer the consequences. I'm not gonna,
Mhm. Mhm.
be out here doing certain things that would put my safety in jeopardy or land me in jail. like
That
little
part.
things that we take
It's
for granted.
true.
I don't want to, jeopardize my life.
Yeah. With mental, well, you already said your mental health practices, and I'm assuming the me time is like the long showers, you like watch your TV and stuff. But if you haven't already kind of specified, what would you say your two favorite mental health practices are?
Oh man. Number one is therapy. I'm in therapy. I go to
Okay.
therapy every single week. It
Hmm.
has changed my life. I think
Wow.
everyone should be in therapy. Everyone has things they need to work on, and it just, all it does is wake you up. It makes you present,
Mm.
so you're not
Oh,
just living life passively and just letting
yeah.
life happen to you. You're waking up and becoming a present member of your own life.
Yeah.
So I'm more aware of how I'm coming across. I'm more aware of my triggers,
Mm.
and when you become aware of those things, then you can change them and you
Yeah.
can grow as a person. So therapy is my number one. um, and my second mental health practice, watching TV. I love watching TV because I work so hard during the week. When I'm done
Hmm.
working, I just want to lay on my couch and watch a good show. That's all I
Yeah.
want to do.
What kind of
I
shows do you
love
like?
it. Like, it's so therapeutic. Oh my god, I watch everything. I watch whatever new shows come out on Hulu, Netflix. I watch reality TV. I watch all of the Housewives. The Housewives have a
Hmm.
show in every single state. I watch every single one. I love it. I'm
I love that.
so I'm not ashamed of it. I'm not ashamed of it. I don't care what anybody says. I will never stop watching my shows.
Don't ever. Top two pieces of advice that you've been carrying with you.
My number one advice is, if somebody's not going to beat your ass, do it. And
Wait, what? What does
by
that
that I
mean?
mean,
What? Wait, go. Say it now. I want to hear this.
so if somebody is not going to beat your ass, you can do it. A lot of people are living their life in fear. And they're saying,
Okay.
"Oh, I'm scared to do public speaking. I'm
Hmm.
scared to ask this question. I'm scared to speak up in a meeting." If someone is not going to punch you in the face, do
Hmm.
it. And it's silly, it sounds funny, but it's true.
Oh,
Like,
got
what
it.
are you
Okay,
afraid
okay.
of?
Got it. Okay. Okay.
Like, stop being so afraid.
Yeah.
I want to bring my confidence back. And so I
Yeah.
walk into a room and I say, "You know what? I may be shy, but I don't care. No one in here is gonna beat my ass. No one in here is gonna kill me if I am going to be the most confident, outspoken version of myself in any space that I'm in.
Yeah.
Because
It's
guess what?
funny.
No one's gonna beat my ass.
I think because I know you personally, it's like, Imani, shy? No. Have you met her? But it's so weird to hear you say that you are, because it's like, Imani, you are hilarious. You are witty. I feel like you are a sister, and it's like, girl, everybody please join me and rise Imani up, because you are, it's such a joy. I think because too we have the same sense of humor that it's just like,
Yeah,
oh, I
we
can
do.
listen to her all day. This is great. um
We do have the
Wait,
same sense of humor.
what was the, okay, so the piece of advice: one, if no one's gonna beat your ass, do it. What's the second one?
Oh, the second one. What's the second one? Best piece of advice. I don't know.
Well, that's strong enough.
Oh,
We
you
can
know
keep
what?
going.
Another
Go
piece
ahead.
of advice um, is that a lot of people think that you're just naturally smart. Like, oh, well, I can't do this or I can't get that job because I'm just not smart enough. And that's something I used to just assume too. I thought, oh, well, if I didn't go to an Ivy League school, if I didn't have this education, if I didn't come from this kind of family, then I can't live a certain life that I would want to live. And it's just not true. Like, people have come out of the most insane circumstances,
Yeah.
and they've been able to uplift themselves and live a life that they never imagined. People have gone from being homeless to going to Harvard.
Wow.
Like, we live in America. You can do whatever you want. There should be no excuse. You can do whatever you want. And I think that has changed my whole perception of my life. Remembering, if someone's not going to beat your ass, do it.
Do
and
it.
You can do whatever you want.
I love, we could end right there because that's just so freaking powerful, but we're not ending there. So moving on to essence, what would you say you love most about yourself?
Oh, I love myself. I love everything about myself. The thing I love the most about myself is that I genuinely care about other people, and I care about inspiring other people. Like, if I'm talking to somebody and I get the sense that you're not in a good mood, I just want to make you feel better. If I get the sense that you're feeling demoralized or you're not feeling happy, you're feeling insecure, I just want to make you feel uplifted. I want to make you feel confident. I want to make you feel happy. I want to motivate you. Like, that's what I want to do. And I think that's important because there are some people who their whole focus is on themselves. How can I just make sure I'm always at 100? And I don't think that that's the right way to go about life. I think your job in life is to pour into other people. Find what you're good at, find what God has given to you and only you, and give that out to the world, because everyone has a unique ability to do something. I don't know what that is for anybody, but when you find what that is, give it away to other people. People need it. That's the whole point of you being alive, is to give of yourself. People need it. You have to pour into people.
Wow. That's so good. Imani, you're coming with the gems, girl. When would you say you most are yourself, and when are you most not yourself?
I would say that I'm most myself when I'm with my friends. Like, when I'm talking to you, like, you bring out the most Imani version of myself.
Oh, and I love it. I love
it. I feel the most happy when I'm with my friends. And I feel like my friends love me for me. And so they give me that space to be myself. When I'm not myself, I feel the smallest when I'm in spaces where I don't feel like my presence is wanted or that it's valued or it's appreciated. I feel smallest in those spaces. So I try my best not to be in those spaces, because I don't have
Right.
to be.
That's true, because I
I
feel
don't have
too,
to be anywhere
though,
I don't want to be.
that part, because I feel like when one person is in a space that they feel small, and maybe it's because, okay, they want to branch out. For example, someone who wants to get into tech, and maybe tech has this stereotype of, well off people, and we can afford to invest in these things. It's like, okay, you're not the tech person yet, but you want to put yourself in those spaces. But when someone does, it's like, oh, they're reminding me how much I don't know, or, I don't look like them, and no one understands how I speak, or stuff like that. And I feel like if you do that enough times, you could easily become like permanently a smaller version of yourself. And it's like, what happened to me? I never used to be like this.
Yes,
I want to
absolutely.
I want to answer this question for myself, because I feel like that's like a very vulnerable question, and I don't want you to be alone on that. So let me think. I'm most
Um,
myself when, ooh, I am most myself after I come out of my meditation, because I feel in that, I feel powered up, I feel confident, and I just feel like, the world is my oyster. I least feel like
hmm,
myself. I feel least like myself when I don't know. It's kind of like when I'm not being understood, because it's like,
hmm,
if I'm trying to explain myself and you're not getting it, it can make me think like, okay, and worse if that person is making me feel bad, like, oh, you're talking crazy, or you don't know yourself, or things like that. It's just like, okay, I know myself, but why is this person making me feel like I don't, kind of thing. So what do you do in those
hmm.
instances? You run. Let me stop. But like you said, I don't try to put myself in those instances. And yeah, this feels like therapy in itself, because I do feel, and hopefully it will change over time, but I do feel sometimes back to my dad, where if, we're having a discussion and he may not see where I'm coming from. And worse, because, he's on the parental level. It's like, man, I don't feel like you're understanding where I'm coming from. And it could just make me feel
Hmm,
flustered and feel like, again, like, oh, I don't know what I'm talking about, because of the words that may be coming from him. So, um,
right,
thank you, Dr. Cruz.
right. My
um,
pleasure.
How would you say your personal upbringing, being biracial, has shaped you and kind of molded you to how you present to the world?
Hmm. Um, so I wouldn't, I'm not biracial, but I would say I'm multi-ethnic.
Mm-hmm.
So it's it's given me empathy for having identities more than just one,
Yeah.
because on my dad's side of my family, my dad came here when he was in high school. And so I hear stories a lot about the
From
immigrant
the
experience
DR. Mm-hmm.
from the Dominican Republic, yeah.
Okay.
And so I hear stories a lot from my grandmother, my aunt, my dad, about how it was to come to this country and not speak the language, um, and how they were treated and how that experience was. And so it's just given me so much more empathy for other people when I see people who may not speak English on the train, trying or at a store trying to figure out the language barrier. I'll step in and I'll be like, how can I help? I'll try to help
Mm.
translate
Yeah.
whenever I can. And it may seem small, but it's a big deal. Like, even
Yeah.
the other day, I was in Duane Reade, and this woman, she was trying to give the cashier coupons for like this baby formula, and her baby was crying and she couldn't speak
Mm-hmm.
English, and I was able to kind of come in and help translate for them. And
Mm.
it made a difference because she just needed milk to give to her baby,
Yeah.
and the cashier couldn't figure out what she was saying. And
Mm.
so I was able to kind of just jump in and help her there. And I think those experiences make a difference. And so, like,
Yeah.
I'm not Superwoman out here doing that all the time, but
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a small way in which I've been able to kind of use that experience and bring it into my everyday life. And it's just awesome being able to have family members who speak a different language,
Yeah.
being able to have family members who have a different culture. Like when I'm with my mom's side of my family, you know, she's African American, born in this country. We have one culture. When I'm with my dad's side, we have a different culture.
Yeah.
And it's two very different and distinct cultures. But I love
Yeah.
both, and I think it's amazing. I love it. I think it's great.
I love that. What would you tell your 13-year-old self? Just about with maybe like with where you are in life, or just like, hey, I know you're 13 now, but blank, blank, blank.
Oh man, I would tell my 13-year-old self to get excited, because the woman I am now is the woman I really wanted to be when I was 13. Like when I was 13, I wanted to be grown so bad. Like people would say, "Oh, Imani thinks she's grown," or "Imani's fresh." Like I just wanted to be older. I used to look in the mirror and just envision this version of myself that's just confident and beautiful and successful and happy and content and living this fabulous life. And I was like, wow, I wonder if I'll ever be that person. I'm like, girl, you are that person, okay?
And more, and more.
You're that person.
Oh, I love that.
So yeah, that's what I would tell my 13-year-old self.
Is there a life lesson that you had to learn the hard way?
Oh yeah. My life lessons, I've learned every single life lesson the hard way. Like, cause I don't listen. That's a flaw of mine. I listen now because I've learned so many lessons the hard way, but typically I don't listen. I'm very hard-headed, as my parents say. And my when I was in high school, I was dating this guy I had no business dating. And we would get into drama. Like, we would have fights all the time. And he was toxic for me. It was just a bad, bad situation all around. And my mom said to me, I will never forget it. She said to me, Imani, you can leave now while you still can. Or you can wait for things to get worse. And something will happen where you have no choice, but you have to leave. And I didn't listen to her. And just like she predicted, something happened where I had no choice but to leave.
Oh my
He
gosh.
cheated on me with multiple women, including a girl that was on my volleyball team. And this girl went around the whole school and told everyone that she was dating my boyfriend. And when it got out, I was like, what am I supposed to do? Everyone knows what you've done. So you've humiliated me, you've embarrassed me, you broke my heart. I could have ended this a while ago and avoided all of this drama. I didn't listen. And now look where we are. So I wish I would have listened to her. But that's my number one life lesson. In any situation, if you see toxicity, if you see big red flags that you're like, okay, this is bad. Not small things that you can work on or you can fix. I mean, big, glaring red flags. Run. That's with a person that's at a job. If you don't feel like this is the right thing for you to do, be out. There's no reason for you to stay.
Dang. Wow. And how did it go? Like, you told him in person?
Yeah, I told him. And of course, you know, the breakup wasn't a clean breakup. It took a long time to really fully break up. But yeah, I told him in person.
Dang. Okay. On to the fun questions. God bless you. God bless you. No, hit him with the dab. Okay, so what would you say? What is Imani's guilty pleasure snack?
Oh, ice cream sandwiches and gummy bears.
Get out of here.
Easy.
Gosh, there's this
I love ice cream sandwiches.
Really, there's this ice cream that I started eating the other day. The brand is Alex's, and the
Ooh,
flavor is lavender honey blueberry. It is so good. I need to send you a photo of it
that
after
sounds
this.
delicious.
It's good.
Is it from
What's your?
Erewhon?
You're right. No, you're right, Fia. It's not. It's from Sprouts. They have Sprouts there in New York.
Okay. No, that's an LA thing.
Okay. What is your weirdest habit?
I bite my nails.
Ooh, and it's like a comfort thing.
I don't. That's why I have to have these on because if I
Wait,
don't,
I was
I'll
gonna
just
say
be
because I was like, your
all
nails
day.
look
I
good.
bite
So how do
them
you? Wow. Okay.
because that's because
If
I have
you
fake
were,
nails on.
yeah, if you were given $10 million today, what would your tomorrow look like?
Wow, that's such a good question. I would invest all of it immediately.
Mm,
I just want to start making the money work for itself and just start
yeah,
multiplying. So
yeah.
tomorrow, I would do the most outrageous, fabulous things. I would just
Mm-hmm.
fly to the Maldives and I would fly out
Hey.
all my friends. That's what I would do.
Oh my
All my
God.
friends. We're getting a private jet. We're flying to an
Yeah.
island and we're spending a few weeks there. So
Right.
get ready.
Question. Listen, the bag's already packed. I'm just waiting for the text. With the investment that you said you would make for it to like do backflips and grow for you and stuff, would you know specifically what account you would put it in? Because sometimes I don't know, I feel like what's it called, day trading and options and stuff like that works for many people. But then I hear another half of people saying, "Oh, don't do it. It's stressful and whatever." So I'm thinking, okay, so should this money go into, I don't know, a Roth account where it's not until years later I can touch it, or are there short term, you know, investment accounts that I can throw it in and then it's like, okay, I can touch it in like 3 months.
Mm, that's a good question. I think I would just get a financial advisor because
Okay.
I have no idea what I'm doing. I mean,
Yeah.
I have zero background in finance. I
Hmm.
would find somebody who I'm like, hey, I'm about to give you $10 million.
Mm.
Let's figure
Yeah.
this out.
Well, like this
Because
last
if I
thing
keep
this
it, it'll be
morning.
gone
Yeah,
within the year.
right. On the private jet, the
That's all
Maldives,
I
the
know.
alcohol, the food.
It's gone.
Right.
Yeah, it's gone.
Um, Let me see. What are you most thankful for?
I am most thankful for my family, hands down.
Mm,
I've been through so much in my life where my family has really been the one to pick up the pieces, to
yeah.
support me whenever I've experienced something that has been devastating or just life altering. My family has always been the consistent ones to always hold me. And
Yeah.
there are some people who don't have family.
Mm,
And I just can't even imagine what that must feel like.
right.
And
Or
so,
have,
leaning on
yeah.
your friend, leaning on family. Yeah, I'm
Having
so grateful for that.
family and like not even close with the family. I think that hurts even more.
Yeah, exactly.
What is one thing you want to let go of this year?
I want to let go of any anger that I have. I want to
Mm,
let go of any anxieties that I have,
mm-hmm.
any sadness that I have. I want to let it all go and I want to look forward. Like my boss said, let it go. It's
Yeah.
over.
Let
It
it go.
happens. Any mistakes that I've made, I'm restarting and I want to just be happy.
Yeah. And last question, if you could speak to your future self, and if your future self could speak to you, what would that be? Or it could be a question too that you're asking your future self.
Hmm. Um, I don't know what I would ask my future self. I don't know because I really feel like mm, I feel like I don't want to jinx anything. I don't want to
Yeah.
know what the future holds.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to live my life and just let things play out as they're supposed to.
Yeah.
So I don't want to ask my future self anything. I would just be like, "Hey, girl,
How you doing?
you know what I would ask her? I would ask her
Yeah.
some skincare. I would ask her skincare questions.
Ooh. I feel like she'd
I'm
be
like,
like,
girl,
listen.
do we have wrinkles yet?
Oh, right. No, she'll be like, no, we're still
Because if
glowing
we
and
do, then I'm
fabulous.
starting. Yeah, that's what I would ask her. Like, hold up. Yeah,
Oh
that's it.
man, I love it. Imani, thank you so much for being my lovely guest. Thank you for helping me get things off of my chest. And I love
Oh, I love you.
you.